Hello everyone. Let's move forward in discussing American writers. Today we are going to talk about Henry Valentine Miller. Henry Henry Valentine 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 Miller Miller. Henry Valentine Miller, shortly known as Henry Miller, born in 1891 and died in 1980. So basically the novelist of 20th century America. See, Miller was not only the novelist, he wrote travelogues as well, memoir, and he was a watercolor painter as well. Let's talk of his quality of writing. An American writer known for breaking with existing literary forms. This always happens with the great writers. They don't go with the tradition, they break the tradition. They experiment with the genre, they experiment with their writing. So here we have Henry Miller, who is known for breaking with existing literary forms and developing a new type of novel, and that is called semi-autobiographical. See, a new term. We talk about autobiography, that is the real depiction. Fiction is not there, reality is there in autobiography. What about autobiographical novel? There you find fact with fiction. Autobiography is merged with fiction, and that makes autobiographical novel. But here, in the case of Henry Miller, we have semi-autobiographical novel. Do you know the meaning of semi? Semi means half. Semi-autobiographical novel. That blended. And here are the characteristics. What are the characteristics that we find in his semi-autobiographical novels? 8 points are there. And understanding these 8 points will make you understand his writing. Character study. The first one is character study. It means deep understanding of the characters, whomever so he is depicting. Social criticism, a very good thing. That is the, actual work of a writer. Social criticism. The problems existing in the society. The bad notions existing in the society. Those things are being criticized. So, social criticism. Third one is philosophical reflection. This happens when a writer meets with his life, meets with his experiences in life. A sort of brooding takes place, a sort of thinking takes place, and he reflects. His own thoughts. he tries to understand through his experience the philosophy of life. And that comes while writing as well. The philosophy of life that he or she understands comes through the dialogues of the characters present in the writing. So, philosophical reflection. Then, stream of consciousness. I hope you are aware about this phrase, very famous phrase for 20th century novel in Europe and America. Stream of consciousness, totally dealing with psychological novel for which names of Virginia Woolf and James Joyce are very famous. As we can take the example of Mrs. Dalloway or To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. We can talk of Ulysses or Portrait of a Young Man as an Artist by James Joyce. There in a stream of consciousness you find the notion of time of two types. One is the physical one, the other one is psychological one. You find the ebb and flow of thoughts. We find that how we travel in the thoughts of the character, and that is a stream of consciousness. So that stream of consciousness is also present here in the semi-autobiographical novel by Henry Miller. Then explicit language. Explicit, very beautiful word, the opposite of which is implicit. Explicit means clear. So explicit language. Then sixth one is sex, for which Henry Miller had to fight much. Because of that, his works initially were considered as obscene, but later somehow by the decision of the court it was declared that no, that much obscenity was not present there. But of course this sex is one of the main concerns in his works. I think as we have the name of D.H. Lawrence in British literature, the similar way we can think of Henry Miller in the American literature in the depiction of sex. Then mysticism. You understand mysticism? Do you understand mystic? Rahasyavadi? Let me tell you one short story, you can say. Once someone asked to Saint Augustine, what is the difference between a philosopher and a mystic? He said, a philosopher knows about God, but a mystic knows God. In a way, Saint Augustine himself was a mystic. When he was asked, "What is God?" You know what did he reply? He said, "I know God when you don't ask me, but I don't know God when you ask me." So this is the way of understanding of the mystics. When someone goes at the very deeper level, even deeper than philosophers, that is mystic. So mysticism is one of the main concerns of his works. And then, last but not the least, Surrealist free association. See, it's important to understand psychological notions before reading Henry Miller. As we talked of stream of consciousness, in a similar way we'll have to understand what is this surrealist free association. So surrealist talks about surrealism, that was a movement, and free association is a term used in psychology. Will make you understand what is this free association. Let's talk of surrealism first. A cultural movement that started in 1917. 1917, the year of Russian Revolution. A cultural movement that started in 1917 is best known for its visual artworks and writings. So surrealism is mainly known for its visual artworks and writings, means paintings and all, and writing means literature. Artists painted unnerving, illogical scenes. See, this was the depiction. Unnerving, illogical scenes means you will not be able to find the logic in the scenes portrayed. Sometimes, with the photographic precision, creating strange creatures from everyday objects. This is how the imagination of the surrealist painters worked. They used to take everyday object and used to make some strange creature from them. And developing painting techniques that allowed the unconscious to express itself. That is important. They developed this painting technique for allowing the unconscious to express itself. See, there are many things which goes on there in our unconsciousness. As it is very well said about the personality of a person, that a man is an iceberg. Iceberg, you understand? ICEBERG. Which 10% is visible only outside of water as consciousness. But 90% is there inside the water, which is not visible as unconsciousness. So generally, mostly we deal with consciousness, as it is said in psychology as well, that tracing unconsciousness is not very easy, it's very difficult. But see, here we find that through this unnerving and creating strange creatures out of everyday object, the painters tried to create a technique, a painting technique for allowing the unconscious to express itself. Its aim was, according to Breton, who was Breton? A French writer, co-founder of Surrealism. What was he saying about the aim of Surrealism? To resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream. Contradictions. When you try to understand the personality of yourself, you will find that how several contradictions exist together in your personality. We all are made of several contradictions. So, and here we find a person, Breton, who says that the aim of Surrealism was to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality. Dream and reality into an absolute reality. See, dream, you can say the unconsciousness. Reality, you can say the consciousness. So out of that dream and reality, we find the contradictions in between them. And the aim of Surrealism is to resolve that contradiction. How? By creating an absolute reality. What is absolute reality? A super reality or surreality. So this absolute reality or super reality was known as surreality as well, as Surreality. Okay, so surrealism or surreality was the concern of resolving the contradictions of a dream and reality. When you have to resolve a particular problem, how can you do that? By escaping that? By running away from that? Is it possible? Of course not. For that, you will have to confront it. Only by confronting that, you can get away. So that is the thing here. In Surrealism, that freedom is given. The freedom of expression for the unconsciousness is given. Okay? as we find in the words of Shakespeare while dealing with King Lear. What he says, tell what you have to, not what you ought to. See, of course, when the unconscious gets expression, everybody can be amazed by you, by finding which kind of person you are. See, generally, some people talk in this manner. They say that I'm a very good person, or I don't have this kind of thinking, that kind of thinking. And they try to show that they are very, very generous kind of person, very good kind of person. They don't have any drawbacks of humans. When someone talks like that, I clearly say to them, you are telling a lie. Because being a human, by having a human understanding, we know what sort of things go on in our brain. And it is very well said that you can become that much good person in the proportion of which you can hide your bad things, your bad thoughts. So your goodness appears only with the hindrance of bad thoughts. How much you can hide your bad thinking, that much good person you become. So the thing is, mind is considered to be monkey's place, or the place where monkeys reside. They always, leap from one place to other place. That is something that happens always there in the brain. Whatever you think in reality, if it comes out, it may create a havoc. Okay, so the objective of Surrealism was to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality into an absolute reality, a super reality, or surreality. So I hope now you understand the concept of surreality. A kind of good device for the depiction of the unconscious self. And again, the next phrase that we are going to discuss, free association, is also a device, a method, you can say. How? What is free expression? Free association? The expression, and that expression can be done through speaking or writing. As you know, 4 skills: to receptive and to expressive. In receptive, we have listening and reading, and in expressive we have speaking and writing. So free association is the expression of the content of consciousness without censorship. See, this is the thing. Why this censorship, has to take place. When we talk of id, ego and superego, the terms given by Freud, as we know that animals are governed by id, their id. We are governed basically by our superego. We control our actions by our superego. We don't always do whatever we want, because we think of morality and all sort of things that we learn in the society. So when we are not using our id, when we are using our superego, it means we are censoring it. We are filtering it. We are not original. We are not doing something original. We are filtering the things, the thoughts, the actions. So free association, the expression of the content of consciousness without censorship, as an aid in gaining access to unconscious processes. Very clear. It means when you have to reach to unconsciousness, okay, you have to understand one thing, that the path of unconsciousness goes from consciousness. Okay? So means for reaching unconsciousness, first you will have to reach consciousness in reality, not with filtration. So first, the consciousness should be depicted in its original form. See, for example, when you have to go to one place, a certain place, and if you have only one way for going to that place, and in between your present location and your destination, there is one particular place there. So for that you have to cross that particular place, you have to reach to that particular place. If you take a wrong way, then how can you reach to your destination? So for reaching to the unconsciousness, there is the need of going to the consciousness, and that you are not doing by censoring it. So without censorship, one has to fetch the consciousness first, the original consciousness, and only then one can get the way of unconsciousness, and this is free association. Okay? The expression of the content of consciousness without censorship. So what is there in the consciousness, in the brain, in the conscious part of the brain, that all should be depicted in original, without any blending of something else, without making it duplicate, as an ad. So, and that works as an ad, as a device in gaining access to unconscious processes. Clear? For example, when you have to hack the data, of the other computers, you need to hack that system first, only then you can hack the data. So for hacking unconsciousness, you need to hack the consciousness. Exactly. And that is free association. This technique is used in psychoanalysis, which was originally devised by Sigmund Freud. I know you are aware about Sigmund Freud, the doctor of Vienna in Austria. By the way, Vienna is the capital of Austria. So, this technique was originally devised by Sigmund Freud, actually psychoanalysis, and here we find that he took this technique, free association, with the help of his mentor, who gave the concept of hypnotic method. Who was that person? Joseph Breuer, Josephbreur, Joseph Breuer. He is known for his hypnotic method. So now I think you can understand the concept of free association and surrealism. So let's talk about those points once again that we find in the work of Henry Miller. The first one is character study, second one is social criticism, third one is philosophical reflection, fourth one is stream of consciousness, fifth one is explicit language, sixth one is sex, seventh one is mysticism, eighth one is surrealist free association. So Miller wrote novels, travel memoir, memoir. As you know, in British pronunciation, we don't pronounce this R when it comes at the end. So, travel memoir and literary criticism. So, he also wrote criticism. He painted watercolors as well. Born in Manhattan, New York, his parents were German. I didn't, take much personal information of the writer. I put much focus on the work and the characteristics of the works. Let's talk about some of his famous writings. First one is The Tropic of Cancer. That is considered to be his first novel. Actually, before it, he wrote one more, but it was not published actually. And a kind of prequel of that was written as Tropic of Capricorn. But here we are having the first published novel, that is called Tropic of Cancer, published in 1934. It was the first published novel, has been described as notorious for its candid sexuality. See, as I told you, sexuality is very much there in his works. So it became notorious, as we are aware of Lady Chatterley's Lover by W.H. Lawrence. So this Tropic of Cancer has been described as notorious for its candid sexuality. And see, the interesting thing, in 1964, US Supreme Court declared the book non-obscene. One interesting thing that I observe, when such things go in the Supreme Court, so you can understand the popularity of those works. While defaming the works, they make the works more famous, more sell is there. As it always happens with the movies, when some controversy takes place in a particular movie, for a particular movie, what does happen? People get more interested and they go more to the theater watching that particular movie. So the same happens with the works as well. When someone tries to defame, that adds to the fame of the work, and I think the same happened with his works as well, as it was happening with the works of Saadat Ali Hassan Manto. He always had to appear in courts for his writing. And you know what did he say? Very famous dialogue from the movie Manto, played lead role by Nawazuddin Siddiqui. There Manto says, अगर मेरी राइटिंग आपके काबिल बर्दाश्त नहीं है तो इसका मतलब ये है कि ये ज़माना काबिल बर्दाश्त नहीं है. So if you cannot bear the writing of mine, it means you cannot bear this particular life that is there in this modern scenario, in this world. This world has become unbearable. That you have to understand, because I am depicting the same. So when the reality is depicted in its originality, the people get, as if, some nails are being put in their morality, in their moral conduct. The people who try to show themselves as very moral kind of person, mind it, they pretend to be moral. The originality, the reality is not hidden with everyone. Everybody knows the reality because everybody is living that reality. So, in 1964, the Tropic of Cancer got declared as non-obscene book. So, okay, so the second work that we'll have to talk of is the Rosi Crucifixion, and this is a trilogy actually. Trilogy means the collection of 3 works. See how beautiful this title is. Crucifixion. As you understand the notion of crucifixion, the thought, the understanding. Crucifixion, how Jesus was crucified. सूली पर चढ़ा दिया गया. Jesus was crucified by the Jews. Here we are having crucifixion, and that is done with the help of roses. The Rosi Crucifixion. How beautiful title is. It seems oxymoron in itself. The Rosi Crucifixion, this is a trilogy and it includes 3 works. The first one is Sexus, published in 1949. Second one is Plexus, published in 1953. The third one is Nexus, published in 1959. So 3 works, Sexus, Plexus and Nexus. They constitute this collection, this trilogy known as the Rosi Crucifixion. Then we have the second novel by him is Moloch, Moloch, or the Gentile World. Then we have the other famous novel that is known as Black Spring, published in 1936. This Black Spring is there prescribed in the IGNOU syllabus. We'll talk about that in detail in coming video. The fifth one is the Colossus of Morosi, Colossus of Morosi, Maroussi, published in 1941. Miller considered it his best book. Mind it, it is an impressionist travelogue. As I told you that Miller wrote novels as well as memoir. He wrote novels, memoir, travelogue. So the Colossus of Morosi is the travelogue, impressionist travelogue, published in 1941. See, I find his titles very beautiful. There we had Rosi Crucifixion. Then here we have Black Spring. How can one think of spring as becoming black? And then see, here we have one memoir by him is The Air-Conditioned Nightmare. Can you think of that? How a nightmare can be air-conditioned? So this is the beauty of the words that we find in the great writers like Henry Valentine Miller. I hope you like this video. Thank you.